Alright, so this is a tutorial on how to scan for hidden objects, whatever. So the first thing you have to do is you have to have a ship outfitted with a probe launcher. And you can put various kinds of probes in here. There's all sorts of launchers as well. But the key thing is to have your launcher and your probes. Those are the only things that you need for scanning. As long as you have those on your ship, you'll be able to scan for things. And you can put them on any ship you want to. It doesn't have to be a specialized scanning ship or anything like that, but they do have some bonuses to scanning abilities. So here we are sitting out in space, and we want to scan for something, be it a hidden belt or a complex or whatever. First thing we want to do is we're going to open up our star map over here. So now we have our star map, we're going to come over here on this panel and click on Solar System Map. This pulls up a map of the solar system, obviously. So there we are near our station. And anything that we're going to find is going to be in this area, just inside the... Actually, it can be a little bit outside the outer ring for the orbit of the planet and the stations, all that kind of stuff. But you're not going to find anything way off here in empty space or anything like that. It's all going to be in this area. So we're going to start off by launching some probes. You just click on this right here, and it'll deploy your probe. One thing you also want to do is open up your scanner right here. It's the middle button of these three, above autopilot, below cargo hold. Let's kind of put that off to the side here. And now we can see a little controller for our probe. We can also see the sphere, which shows the area that the probe is covering. And you can click and drag on the edge of the sphere to expand or contract how much area it's covering. We're going to make this one kind of large for now. And we're going to kind of center it. Now you don't ever really want to scan with just one probe, because you'll never really get very good readings on anything. What you want to do is you want to use as many probes as you can. I can use 7, I believe, at one time. But I think the standard is 4 when you're first starting. It's a 3 or 4. And basically what you want to do is you're going to want to take these and line them up. Oops. In sort of a plus shape. Okay, let's say that we just have 4. So go ahead and we'll do this. So now we have our 4 probes. Probably don't need that much area covered. So we're going to shrink it down. If you hold shift, you can drag all of them at the same time. So let's drag it down like this. And again, holding shift, you can drag all of them in different directions altogether. By holding alt, you can scale them in different directions. So we're going to use alt to bring them a little bit closer together. And we're just going to start off by scanning roughly the middle of the solar system. If you're using more, you could expand it and you get better readings. If I were using 5, for instance, what I would do is I'd have one in the center with a larger scan area, and then have these ones roughly as they are right now, and we'd have really good chances of picking up on anything that we're going to find. So over here in our scanner window, you can see we have 4 probes out. You can see that they're each on range. That's how large the bubble is. That's the radius of the bubble. So they'll find anything that's AUs away from the drone or the probe. They also have an expiration timer. After this amount of time, they'll deactivate and those kind of die out there. You want to make sure that you get them back before this expires, but you have over an hour, so that's not really much of an issue. Status is if they're idle, if they're warping, if they're scanning. Active, if they're active or not. That's kind of self-explanatory. You can also filter your results down here, but we'll get to that in just a second. For now, you just want to click right here on the top left where it says Analyze. what they'll do is it'll send your drones out, because those lines go into the middle of the circles, and now they're scanning. Alright, so we have a lot of hits because I have my filter shown set to all, and these probes are picking up ships, wrecks, in addition to all of the any dead space, asteroid belts, all that kind of stuff. We're going to narrow it down, and actually need to create a new filter. So here we have the create new filter window, and let's say we just want to find, cosmic signatures. Now, this is where you're going to be able to find your asteroid belts, that sort of thing. Asteroid belts are gravimetric. LADAR will find you gas clouds. Magnetometric will find you, I believe, radio stations that you can hack and such. Radar, I'm actually not remembering right now. And unknown is wormholes. I actually think that radar are the radio stations. That makes more sense. Anyway, so let's just check gravimetric, because we're going to try and find some asteroid belts out here. And save that. Oh yeah, we gotta give it a name. So we'll call this, gravimetric. And save. So now we have this here. We can switch to gravimetric. We can see. Well, let's rescan here real quick. Okay, there we go. You can see that we have 4 hits. Whoops. And now down here you'll notice we have 4 hits, and these top 2 have the same name. That's because one of these 2 is the location of the site, the other one is just a false reading. So we'd want to dial that in. With these second 2, we have just that one hit, but our signal strength, you see over here on the right side, on this one is 3.9%, on this one it's 14.47%. In order to be able to warp to it, we have to have a signal strength of 100%. So let's go ahead and try to hunt down these guys, this PTC-026 signature that we have. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to try and center our probes on roughly that area. Okay, that'll do well. Now we're going to scale them in, holding Alt, clicking and dragging. And then we're going to decrease the range. Decreasing the range will increase the signal strength that you get from them. And we're going to check. So we have one of our readings is well within the scanning area, and so is the other one. So now we're going to go ahead and hit Analyze up here at the top left again. Okay. So now, here we are, PTC-026. We now have a reading up over here. And one of the things you can do is you can actually right-click on it, and you can click on Ignore Other Results, and you'll only ever see this signature. And that way you can dial in on it more easily and not have to worry about what other things you're finding. So now we're going to, again, recenter based off of where this one is. We're going to bring them up as well. Just kind of dial that in a little bit. So this green cross is really useful. You want to kind of center that green cross that you can see right there on top of your signature, or as close to it as you can. Now we're going to shrink it down some more. I'm going to scale them in. That looks really good right there. And we're going to analyze again. And since our signal strength is still very low when you're looking at down here, we're going to keep the scanning area fairly large, because there's bound to be a lot of deviation. So now we have these two signatures right here on the edge of this probe's bubble right there. And both of those are at 6%. So we're going to again center over that, scale them in, shrink them down, whoops. Scoot these over this way a little ways. There we go. And hit analyze again. And basically we're just going to keep on repeating this process, and we'll keep on shrinking it down and shrinking it down and shrinking it down, and eventually we'll get down to the point where, oh, we seem to have lost it. Okay, well this is a good exercise. This will happen oftentimes. So all we're going to do is we're going to move our probes a little farther apart, we're going to expand our range again, and we're going to try to find it once more. And hopefully the readings this time will be a bit more accurate, and we can center in, and we can narrow it down a little bit more easily. Okay, there we go. We have it at 15% now. So we're going to center it on there. Scale it in. Shrink it down. Make sure it's all nice and centered. And then we're going to analyze again. And we're still not finding it. That's bizarre. Alright. So let's try something a little bit different. Let's try just manually doing a bit of a sweep. So we're going to start down here and analyze, see if it's a little bit below the area that we're looking in just a second ago. And if this doesn't pick it up, we're going to move it up and see if it was above. Oh, nope, we found it. Here we go. So now this time we have a ring instead of a dot. And basically what that tells us is that it's somewhere on that plane in that area. So somewhere inside this circle is where that signature is. So we're going to recenter on that. And one of the things is, since we had it right over here, and it was picked up by this probe only, we can logically say that it's probably somewhere in this half of the circle. So we're going to take it, we're going to drag it over there, we're going to center it roughly on that half. And let's go ahead and scale them in a little bit, but we won't shrink them down just because of the area that we have to be looking in. And we're going to go ahead and hit analyze again. Hopefully this time we can get ourselves a couple of points, or perhaps just 1 point, and narrow it in on that. And again, we have a ring here. But now we have a slightly smaller ring. So we're going to go ahead and shift it, center it, scale them in a bit more, and let's try shrinking them down to the next level. And if this doesn't pick it up, then we can always scale them up again and find that signature once more. Or we can do what we did before and shift them down. And if we don't find it in the lower area, shift them up and see if we find it there. Sometimes you have to take guesses, and even if you don't pick it up at first scan, you can find it again pretty easily. Yeah, see, so we didn't find it this time. So we're going to shift down just a little ways, about halfway through the bubble. Run a scan. Nope, nothing found. So now we're going to move it up again. Run another scan. Nothing. So now we're going to bring it back down to roughly the middle. We're going to try to scale it out. And if we don't find anything on this one, then we'll increase the range on them. And this is why it's more useful to have more of these probes, is because if we had a full 7, we'd also have one in the middle, one above, and one below. We'd have increased our area that we can cover all at one time. And like I had mentioned before, you can have the middle one have a larger area and kind of be a catch-all, and have these ones be smaller ones to try and dial in on it. So we didn't find it again, so we're going to increase the scan area and do a new scan. And it's not finding anything again, so we're going to once again do that sweep. I think we're going to find it up a little bit higher though. I think this one's going to come back empty. Yeah. You'll notice though, when you zoom out, compared to the first area that we were scanning, we've dialed it down a good bit. And as we continue this process, let's pick it up again. Here we go. We'll do that even more so. So now we have those 2 points. I'm going to go ahead and center on them. Oops. Scale it in. Should be able to shrink it down and still catch them. Maybe not. Let's scale it in some more. There we go. That should catch both those points. And run another scan. Yeah, this whole process can be rather tedious, especially when you're first starting. And the key to it is just persistence and increasing those skills. As you get those skills up and you get more probes out there, you'll be able to find them a good bit more easily. Okay, this is being problematic. So some of the areas that you'll find will actually require you to have more probes or more skills, something like that, because some of the higher tier areas that you can find, they'll just be harder to get into. It's kind of that barrier of entry from everybody just being able to get into the most expensive, most profitable areas. So I'm going to go ahead and launch a couple of extra probes here, and we're going to get these guys set up and find it, because I am determined now. So again, you can see that green cross kind of thing in there, and as we move it around, it'll kind of pull on where the center of it is, and we just want to keep it so that all the lines coming straight out from the middle, and that'll be the most effective way to scan for and find that signature. Okay, so now we have all of our probes out there. It looks kind of like a modeled mess, there's so many of them. And it kind of takes some getting used to just working with the interface. But see, now we have a very large scan area. We're going to move these guys out a little bit, so covering more area inside that large bubble. And we're going to run a new scan. There we go. Found our signatures again. And see, they were right there. So that kind of tells us that this might be an area that has a little bit better items inside of it, because we had been scanning right on top of it before, but we didn't have enough probes. Now we're going to scale them in, just as we have many times before. We're going to shrink everything down. Let's see, what area roundabouts? Oh yeah, when you do that, it also shrinks your central one down along with everything else. So I'm gonna go ahead and set that one separately, and we can standard dial them in a little bit more, and run a new scan. Yep, and once again we didn't find anything. So let's go ahead and move everything up a little bit. Run a new scan. There we go, I picked them up again. So now we're going to, okay, so many times before, center. Whoops, I'm trying to find one of these arrows I can grab. There we go. Dial it in some. Shrink it down. Okay, so it looks like this is as small of an area as my probes will go. Different types of probes will be able to do different types of areas and find different types of things. This is as small as mine will go. So hopefully we can get this down to a single area. Let's see if we get that. Nope, I'm not picking up anything here. Let's move it down a little bit and try again. Nope, nothing there. Try moving it up some and doing the same thing. Okay, so we're not picking up anything. So what we can tell from that is that the signatures can require drones to have more precision than mine have. You can get ones that'll go down to 0.25 AUs. You can see that mine are at 0.5 right now. And you can get ones that are more precise, and they're better for finding these sorts of things. The ones that I have on here are combat scanner probes. You can see that right there. And these are actually made more for finding ships, stuff like that, out in wormholes. Well, basically wormholes. You can use them in 0-0 as well to kind of find ships that are lurking about. But usually, since you can use local out there, there's no real point in actually scanning them down this way. So yeah, I'd want to refit with different probes and come back. And if I was really dedicated, in trying to find that spot, I'd refit those probes, come back, and try and find it again. But you also have to, recognize when you're not going to be able to find it and move on to another area. And that covers the basics of it. When you dial it in enough, you'll find it here. I'll say signal strength 100%. You go to right click and warp to. Just make sure you don't forget to recover your probes. You do that by clicking right here, recover active probes. If some of your probes are disconnected from, you can click right here to reconnect to lost probes. And if you want to just destroy all your probes for whatever reason, you can just click here to destroy all of them. So we're going to go ahead and recover ours right now. Just click right there. Warp back to me. See the returning. There we go. And just like with ammunition, you'd have to reload all of these. So you're going to go ahead and stack all and throw them back in here. Now here I have some core scanning probes, and unless I'm mistaken, these are the ones that have a greater precision. So I'm going to go ahead and reload those real quick. Put in the core scanning probes instead. Takes a moment for them to load. There we go. Go ahead and launch one, and you can see even right now it has a range of 0.25 AU, and then can expand to a larger area. So these are going to be more precise, and these will allow for a better reading. So let's go ahead and switch to all, because these are only going to pick up... Oh, let's see there. That's interesting. PTC 026 magnetometric. Huh. So it could have been, for the last one, that some of our first scans were actually picking up incorrectly, saying that it was gravimetric, and that it's actually magnetometric. That's something that I hadn't taken into account. That's something else we gotta consider is sometimes your scans will be grossly inaccurate, as mine were apparently. Okay, so the way that I like to usually arrange these when I'm starting out is just to start with them based around wherever I am and just have the arrows touch. It's kind of the easiest way to line them up so they're all exactly the right distance away. I'm just OCD like that, I suppose. We'll go ahead and do the top and bottom ones as well. Hopefully without getting... There we go. There. Now that we have our setup, we can just, scale that and do everything we want with it. Let's go ahead and scale that way out. You can see it's kind of shifting over a little bit. Let's recenter that if we can. And let's go ahead and right click, set our scan range to 4 AUs. No, we want more than that. Let's go with 16. There we go. And our center probe, I think, is 14. We'll set that to 16 instead. There we go. Much better. And now we'll with show all on, because these ones won't pick up ships and such, so we'll have a much cleaner first scan. Go ahead and send them out. Alright, yeah, so once again, so I'm picking up PTC 026 because previously we had right-clicked on it and chosen ignore other results. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to click right here, and oh dear, I need to remember where this option is. I'm not remembering where it is that you go to reset it. There we go. Yeah, it's clear all ignored results right here on these lines. You right click them, and this would come up, and you'd choose that option, like I just did. So we have 2 hits on our first scan here. So let's go ahead and kind of dial those in like we were doing before. And this time we'll have, this time we'll go a lot faster because I'm using more of the probes, and these are more precise probes as well. So we're going to go ahead and shrink those down. We'll set this again to 8, so we have a larger bubble, and run another scan. And in that last one, it didn't have what type some of these were: magnetometric, gravimetric, LiDAR, radar, that kind of thing. So we're going to keep on going until we find one that is of the type that we're looking for. Shrink everything down a bit, scale it in, set our middle one for a larger area. There we go. And run our scan. You can see already we're down to 2 AUs. We've already shrunk it down, quite a bit. And that's why it really is important, if you're going to go into doing a lot of scanning and trying to find these things, to work on those skills so that you can have multiple drones, a lot more probes rather. Well, since we were chasing down PTC before, let's go ahead and concentrate on that. So we're going to go ahead and ignore other results again, so we have just those two. And we're going to center on them. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. And we're going to go ahead and scale in and shrink it down. And I believe we have enough precision that we can just leave the middle one as it is this time. We'll go ahead and scan. There we go. So now we can see that we have a magnetometric cosmic signature. Currently it's at 37.38%. And we have a pretty solid, read on where it is, because it now has that marker instead of just a dot. So we're going to go ahead and dial in on that a little bit more. Center on it right there. Shrink it down. There we go. Run another scan. See, so now we're at 0.5 AUs, and that's what we were at previously. Okay, and now we can see exactly what this thing is. We see that it is a crumbling greaseous explosive debris. So that's the obviously that's the type of area that it is, and you can look those up and you can see what they'll usually contain. Let's go ahead and finish dialing that in, and we'll go ahead and explore that in my stealth ship here. So now we're down to our maximum precision. Our last scanner was at 87%, so this should dial it in to 100% and allow us to warp to it. There you go, signal strength 100%. So now we have the option to warp to it, warp within a certain distance, save location, all that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and save the location, and yeah, we'll just keep that name. I have it in corporation locations. You guys can warp to where it was before if you want to. So now we have location saved, which means you don't need our drones out anymore. We can go ahead and recover them. There we go. And we can close out of our scanner window here. You can see we have our little push pin marking that location. There it is. And now we're going to open up this map one, close the map. There we are. We'll reload our drones, cloak ourselves up. Oh, I'm too close to the station right now. So we'll go ahead and warp there right now. And I'll just cloak on the way. We're going to warp to within 100 kilometers just to be safe, because I don't know what's in there. Yes, I was going to mention that. Before I was saying I didn't remember what magnetometric was. It's ruins is what it is. So you can go in there with a, I don't remember what the name of the module was, but a certain module you can go in there with, and you can scan over some various items that they'll have and unlock them and get some of the items that are inside. And that can be a good way to get some loot. So right now, I'm not picking up any ships. Looking all clear. So let's go ahead and go over to those containers. And I believe we will not be able to open them up, because they'll likely be the ones that we need the analyzer for. "92 kilometers away. Tell you what we'll do. It'll be faster actually if we fly in the opposite direction. When you're 150 kilometers from, since you can just directly warp to it, we're just going to go ahead and do that instead. And that'll take a little while, so you can probably just fast forward in the video if you want to see that area up close. Oh, and I would like to point out, since I had warped to within 100 meters, if you warp directly to it, you're not going to be this far away. So if I had warped directly to, I would be over there already right now. But I decided to, play it kind of cautious. It's got 30 more clicks and I'll be able to warp to it. Alternatively, you could always just warp out and then warp back in, which probably would have been fast in this case, but meh. So as we hit 150 clicks, you'll see this grayed out warp to within 0 button light up. We can pop right on over there. There we go. And you get this little message again. There we are. This probably uncloaked me too. Whoopsies. Landed right inside. Yep. Hopefully don't get any company around here. Now when we go to open it, it'll say that we can't open it without specialized equipment, and that is that analyzer module. And when we do it for these other ones, it'll say the exact same thing. We have to go back and equip an analyzer module into a medium slot, and then we'll be able to crack those open. But yeah, that's kind of my overview of scanning and how you do that. Don't make the mistake that I did and limit your results when you don't know what type of area it is, because otherwise you'll just be lost and confused, as I made myself earlier. And yeah, have fun with that.